One day, everything we know will end. The mountains will crumble, the stars will vanish, and time itself will surrender to forces far beyond our control. But how will it happen? Will it be through cosmic fire or divine judgment? Science tells one story, faith tells another. Both lead to the same chilling question. How does this world end? And what happens after? Welcome to Golden Star, where ancient truth meets modern thought. Today's episode takes us on a journey across two worlds, the cutting edge of science and the timeless wisdom of faith, to explore one of the greatest questions humanity has ever asked. How does our world truly end? Is the Earth doomed by cosmic forces written in the stars? Or is it a divinely orchestrated finale foretold by prophecy? In this documentary, we'll uncover the most profound theories from astrophysicists, historians, and theologians. We'll compare gamma-ray bursts with the Great Judgment and boiling oceans with apocalyptic fire from heaven. Stay with us to the end, because what we discover may change how you see the world and what comes after it. And if you're passionate about historical truth, biblical discovery, and meaningful storytelling, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Let's begin. From a scientific standpoint, Earth and life are remarkably resilient. The first life appeared over 3.5 to 4 billion years ago, despite early bombardment by asteroids. Throughout geologic history, Earth has endured repeated mass extinctions, from asteroid strikes and supernova-induced radiation bursts to massive volcanic eruptions and rapid climate shifts. Yet life has always rebounded and diversified anew. Sterilizing the entire planet of life, it turns out, is exceptionally difficult. Scientists have identified a handful of doomsday scenarios that could extinguish all life, though many are either extremely unlikely or far in the future. Below, we outline several major scientific hypotheses for Earth's end, all supported by current research and models. Asteroid impact, apocalypse. One dramatic possibility is a colossal asteroid collision. For example, about 66 million years ago, a city-sized asteroid struck what is now the Gulf of Mexico, triggering the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction that wiped out the non-avian dinosaurs. Earth is struck by large, 10-plus kilometers asteroids on timescales of roughly 100 million years on average, though most known impacts are much smaller. Crucially, researchers find that only an exceptionally massive impactor could boil away the oceans and eradicate all life. Simulations indicate that a truly planet killer would have to rival the size of Vesta or Pallas, the solar system's largest asteroids, to vaporize the oceans. Indeed, early in Earth's history, the Moon is thought to have formed from a collision with a Mars-sized protoplanet called Theia, but such events are vanishingly rare today. In short, while even a moderate asteroid could devastate ecosystems, a sterilizing impact is extraordinarily unlikely in the near future. Ocean oxygen collapse. Another class of scenarios involves catastrophic loss of oxygen in the oceans and atmosphere. Geological evidence shows that Earth's atmospheric oxygen has not been stable over time. For instance, the Great Oxidation Event, 2.4 to 2.5 billion years ago, dramatically increased oxygen levels thanks to cyanobacteria photosynthesis. Conversely, about 450 million years ago, during the late Ordovician mass extinction, the planet experienced a prolonged plunge in oceanic oxygen coincident with widespread glaciation. In that extinction, roughly 80% of species died out, likely because global cooling altered ocean circulation and caused oxygen levels to crash. Today, some scientists warn of a modern analog. Warming oceans stratify and hold less dissolved oxygen, threatening marine life. In the extreme, a sudden, global deoxygenation event could collapse food chains and kill most life. While nothing on the scale of the Ordovician deoxygenation is imminent, these past episodes show that oxygen loss is a plausible Earth-scale catastrophe. Gamma-ray burst extinction. Astrophysical explosions could also imperil life. Gamma-ray bursts, GRBs, are exceptionally energetic explosions thought to accompany some supernovae. Although all observed GRBs have occurred in distant galaxies, astronomers estimate our Milky Way may have spawned a lethal GRB in the past. A burst within our galaxy aimed at Earth would send high-energy gamma rays that could destroy roughly half of the ozone layer in seconds. Without its ozone sunscreen, Earth's surface and upper oceans would be exposed to intense ultraviolet radiation, likely causing mass extinctions. Furthermore, gamma radiation would convert atmospheric oxygen and nitrogen into nitrogen dioxide, producing a global smog that blocks sunlight. This could plunge the planet into a severe ice age. In sum, a nearby GRB could simultaneously poison the air, incinerate surface life with UV, and trigger catastrophic climate change. While improbable in any given year, such an event is a recognized cosmic threat to Earth's biosphere. The dying sun and long-term oxygen loss. Looking further ahead, astrophysicists predict the ultimate fate of Earth is tied to the sun's evolution. In roughly 1 billion years, increasing solar luminosity will warm Earth so much that atmospheric carbon dioxide will be drawn down by weathering processes. When CO2 levels fall, photosynthetic organisms, plants and phytoplankton, will begin to die off since they can no longer generate energy. As these oxygen-producing life forms vanish, Earth's oxygen will plummet back toward pre-oxygenation levels. Complex life, which requires an oxygen-rich atmosphere, would thus suffocate. According to climate and biogeochemistry models, this deoxygenation could unfold in as few as 10,000 years once it begins, and is considered an inevitable consequence of solar aging. Eventually, in about 5 billion years, the sun will exhaust its fuel and expand into a red giant, almost certainly engulfing the inner planets. But the unbreathable atmosphere crisis occurs much earlier. In short, even without an abrupt catastrophe, the Earth is fated to become uninhabitable as the sun's output grows. Science offers predictions based on patterns and particles, but faith speaks in prophecies and promises. Now let us shift our gaze from telescopes to sacred texts, from physics to prophecy, as we uncover what faith tells us about the end of all things. In many faith traditions, especially within Christianity, the end of the world is an event of divine judgment and renewal rather than natural causes. The New Testament book of 2 Peter, chapter 3, describes the climax of history. The heavens will disappear with a roar, the elements will be destroyed by fire, and the earth and everything in it will be laid bare. 2 Peter 3:10. This passage speaks of a cataclysmic end when God intervenes to judge humanity and destroy all that he has created, echoing Genesis 1:1. According to traditional interpretation, this event occurs after a 1,000-year reign of Christ on earth, the millennium mentioned in Revelation 20. At the millennium's close, Satan is unleashed, defeated in the final conflict, and cast into the lake of fire. Only then does the cosmic destruction of 2 Peter unfold, followed by a resurrection and final judgment. Scripture emphasizes that this end-time event will be unmistakably dramatic. Believers explain that the heavens here refers to the physical universe, all stars, planets, and galaxies, which will be consumed by a great explosion. The elements, understood as the building blocks of matter, will melt in fervent heat. Various Bible translations describe it as a roar, great noise, or thunderous crash, underscoring that everyone on earth will see and hear the destruction. In this view, nothing material remains intact. The earth and everything done in it will be exposed. 2 Peter 3:10. After the old creation is purged, faith doctrine holds that God will bring about a new creation. Revelation 21:1-2 depicts a new heaven and a new earth, replacing the first heaven and earth, which have passed away. The New Jerusalem, a city of perfect holiness, will descend from heaven to the renewed earth. The redeemed, whose names are written in the Lamb's book of life, will dwell there forever in righteousness. This home of righteousness is promised for believers, 2 Peter 3:13, as God's final plan for creation. Importantly, the biblical narrative ties the end times to moral urgency. Peter asks in his epistle, "Since everything will be destroyed in this way, what kind of people ought you to be?" He exhorts Christians to live holy and godly lives while looking forward to that day. The Apostle Paul similarly teaches that Jesus delivers us from the wrath to come, 1 Thessalonians 1:10. In other words, the faithful view the end as a time of purification and salvation, not just doom. Therefore, living according to God's commands and sharing the gospel are emphasized so that more can escape the fate of those who reject Him. Both science and faith foresee a dramatic, global-scale transformation. In scientific scenarios, this might be a planetary sterilization, e.g., boiling oceans or suffocating atmosphere, caused by asteroids, gamma-ray bursts, or solar evolution. In faith's narrative, it is the fiery dismantling of the heavens and the earth itself. In each case, ordinary life on earth comes to an end. Both perspectives use images of heat and fire. Scripture explicitly speaks of elements destroyed by fire and cataclysmic heat. Remarkably, many scientific threats would also involve extreme heat. An asteroid impact would release more energy than millions of nuclear bombs, and a GRB or supernova blast would irradiate and heat the atmosphere. Even the gradual solar brightening would melt rocks and boil oceans in the distant future. A key difference is in what follows the end. The faith view promises a new creation, a renewed heavens and earth where righteousness dwells. Science by itself offers no such hopeful renewal of earth. It generally predicts eventual cooling or exhaustion, e.g. heat death or the sun's death, with no divinely ordained restart. In theory, life might continue elsewhere, but earth as we know it fades. Faith grounds the end in moral justice and redemption. It is tied to God's plan and human responsibility. Science treats the end as impersonal, natural processes. There is no inherent moral lesson in an asteroid strike or gamma burst. However, both encourage reflection. Science reminds us of life's fragility, while faith urges godliness in light of ultimate accountability. Despite their different foundations, science and faith occasionally overlap in language. For instance, the idea of the atmosphere losing oxygen is present in both. Scientists predict an oxygen-poor future. Faith speaks of the living earth giving way to a purified new world. Both see Earth's history as finite with a clear endpoint. Yet the cause and meaning of that end are viewed very differently. One emerges from cosmic forces, the other from divine intervention. In summary, scientific research suggests that Earth's demise will involve immense natural forces, massive impacts, cosmic explosions, or the sun's evolution, which could eventually sterilize the planet or render it uninhabitable. The faith perspective, by contrast, holds that the world will end in a divinely willed cataclysm, as described in the Bible, followed by the creation of a new, perfect world. Both approaches agree on the need for a radical change at the end of history, but they assign different agents and purposes to that event. If you found this analysis enlightening, please like and subscribe for more content like this, and share your thoughts in the comments. Which scenario resonates with you more? Is the world's end a scientific inevitability or a fulfillment of prophecy, or some combination of both? Let us know what you think. Until next time, keep seeking, keep learning, and keep the light alive.